From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
Mr. Dollar, this is Miss Beale at the travel office calling back. I got your plane space all right.
Oh, good. Wait till I get a pencil. Okay.
You leave Idlewild tomorrow morning at 9 on National Flight 405, and you reach New Orleans tomorrow evening at 5:01.
5:01. Got it.
You'll have to stay in New Orleans overnight, and the earliest flight I could get out of there is Pan American number 701 the next morning at 8.
8 o'clock.
That'll put you in Managua at 5:50 that evening, and there's a train from there to San Juan del Sur.
No, that part of it should be fun.
The fare one way, including tax, is $216.55. Why don't you buy a round trip?
Well, just habit, I guess, superstition. I don't like to presume I'm going to get back from any of these trips I make. That would really be asking for trouble.
Edmund O'Brien in another adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Britannia Life Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the David Rockey matter. Expense account item 1, $4.50, transportation from Hartford to New York City. Item 2, $1.20 cab fare to the hiring hall of the National Maritime Union.
Tom?
I talked with you on the phone, Mr. Richter. Dollar?
Oh, yeah. Well, like I told you then, your man is in San Juan del Sur. Or if he left, we don't know about it.
I hope he's there. I've got plane reservations.
I called the Edwardson line. That's the outfit he was sailing for. I want to double-check on our records, and theirs are the same. He missed his sailing in San Juan del Sur. They signed on a local man as far as Panama.
The ship was the Lyle Edwardson?
That's it.
Can you give me anything that would help identify him?
Well, here's his signature and his last job assignment card.
Oh. Can I keep this?
I guess so, sure.
Thanks.
Let's see, here's his membership book number, 146544.
Uh-huh. All right. Would you happen to have any photographs in your file?
No, but the Coast Guard office would, on his certificate of identification and certificate of service. They'll both be in a file on him over there.
Good, that's what I need. I wouldn't know him if I did find him.
I'll fix you up. Naturally, I'm curious. You flying all the way down to that port. What do you want with this David Rockey? Mind telling me?
He just became a millionaire.
What?
Well, when Rocky was a kid, he was adopted by a Titus Morgan in Boston. Wealthy man. He just died, leaving everything to Rocky.
How do you like that?
$1.5 million, including $50,000 in insurance. That put me on the case.
How would you like to get some news like that?
I don't think I could take it. Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Rick.
That was nothing. When you find this guy, ask him if he can spare a few bucks for the seaman's home, will you?
From the Coast Guard documents on David Rockey, I memorized his picture, and the next morning, I left New York. Expense account item 3, $297, fare and incidentals to Managua. Item 4, $35, a charter plane I finally arranged for the next day that put me in San Juan del Sur at 3 o'clock the next afternoon. I found hotel accommodations and then looked up the local office of David Rockey's last employers, the Edwardson Steamship Lines.
That's it. Oh. Good afternoon.
Hello. My name is Doll. I just arrived from Hartford, Connecticut.
Well. My name is Wall, Clayton Wall. How do you do?
Mr. Wall?
Why on earth would anyone leave Hartford to come to a place like this?
I'm an insurance investigator. I was sent down here to find a seaman who sailed on one of your ships, David Rockey. Remember him?
Oh, yes. Certainly I remember him. Did you say insurance investigator?
That's right. Why did you ask that?
Why, just wondered. What do you want with him?
He has some money coming from a policy and an estate.
Oh,
I think I'd go back to Hartford, Mr. Dollar.
Why?
David Rockey is not in a position to hear about money up in the States.
Oh?
He's in jail. He's being charged with murder.
Oh, I see. When did this happen?
Oh, I'm afraid I don't have all the particulars. The papers, they aren't famous here for accurate reporting. But he missed his ship, you know. That was not quite 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I've been told that.
I believe the reason was a drinking bout. And as a result of it, this employee of ours, a Nicaraguan, was killed. Stabbed to death, I believe.
Why didn't anybody know about this in New York? His union or your company?
Things move very slowly down here.
Well, you must be in contact with your New York office.
My communications are of a purely business nature, Mr. Dollar. I suppose that sounds rather inhumane.
Yes, matter of fact, it does.
This office handles many thousands of dollars each year for the company, and I have to protect its position.
You mean that's why you didn't report this trouble of Rocky's?
And if I had, it would have meant interference with the officials.
And that wouldn't have been good for you.
It would not. One who wants to continue in business here doesn't interfere with the Guardia Nacional. It is both military and police. And like in all countries, they have legal procedures.
I take it you haven't seen Rocky since he was arrested.
No, I haven't.
Well, I hope you don't mind if I do.
I'll be blunt with you. As long as the interference doesn't stem from this office, I think it's highly in order. I wish you luck, Mr. Dollar. And I'd like to have you tell me how you come out. I'm not as heartless as I sound.
No, sure. Just a good businessman. Before I tackled them, I learned what I could about the police setup in Nicaragua. The Guardia had been organized originally by American Army and Marine officers. A lot of what I dug up would have been good news to criminals, a couple of thousand men enforcing laws in the country